Okay, I just finished watching Ring of Honor for February 11th, 2012, and it's in the Dew Burns Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. This was a pretty good Ring of Honor episode this week. I really liked this show. Had some good matches on here. Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness open up the show when they're running down the card. Backstage, they show Kyle O'Reilly, and he says that Eddie Edwards has a big head and he doesn't like the comments he's been making about him and Davey Richards, and he's going to prove that he's just as much a man as Eddie Edwards is, maybe even more. Eddie Edwards says that Kyle O'Reilly has started this entire thing, and that if he has to go out there and knock some sense into him, he will, and he should be careful what he wishes for. So they open the show with Eddie Edwards versus Kyle O'Reilly, and this was a really good match. It started off kind of slow, and I wasn't that into it, but it got really good. They start off, and they're both pretty even. They train with Davey Richards, so they both kind of use a lot of the same offense. The only thing I thought looked kind of bad was there was a part where they're trading headbutts, and it's kind of hard to explain. I guess they look like they're trying to headbutt, but then pull back a little bit, so it's not a full-on headbutt. Because if they were out there headbutting each other, it'd be horrible. So it looks like they're trying to do some headbutts, but then they're pulling back. That's the only thing that kind of looked bad. Eddie gets Kyle in the ankle lock, which is Davey Richards' move. And Davey Richards comes out and he's cheering on Kyle O'Reilly and telling him to hang in there. And Edwards, this one spot is really crazy. Eddie Edwards goes to suplex Kyle O'Reilly, and he kind of tips him over the rope. I thought he was going to suplex him on the rope, but he holds him and he goes over the rope to the outside, taking with him Eddie Edwards. This looked very, very dangerous. Both guys were okay though, luckily, but yeah, this was a pretty crazy spot. Then Kyle O'Reilly gets Eddie Edwards in the ankle lock. And Adam Cole comes out and starts cheering on Eddie Edwards. And Adam Cole is Kyle O'Reilly's tag team partner. They were in Future Shock together, and now Kyle O'Reilly's been teaming with Davey Richards. So he kind of just left his tag team partner high and dry. So they're kind of doing this thing where now it's Eddie Edwards and Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly and Davey Richards. But Kyle O'Reilly, they start to trade these shots, and it is just crazy. They're just slapping each other, doing chops and slaps to the face. Really hard stuff here, kicks. And Eddie Edwards beats the crap out of Kyle O'Reilly here. This kid takes a beating. At one point, I think he spits on him. I'm not sure, but it looked to me like Kyle O'Reilly spits on Eddie Edwards. And Eddie just starts backhanding him repeatedly. Like he backhands him probably at least 3 or 4 times, just right across the face. Eddie Edwards goes for a power bomb, but he gets caught in the guillotine by Kyle O'Reilly. They start to trade roll-ups, and Eddie eventually gets him in a small package and gets the win. So it was a pretty good match. Then Eddie Edwards calls Adam Cole into the ring, and he says, since these guys have their new tag team, why don't me and you become a tag team? And he extends his hand, and Adam Cole shakes his hand. So I guess Eddie Edwards and Adam Cole are a new tag team, and they say that Davey Richards and Kyle O'Reilly can have a match anytime they like. So it was a pretty good segment here. And then Steve Corino comes out, and he's doing commentary with Nigel and Kevin Kelly, and he's talking about his injuries that he suffered from Kevin Steen. The show, a Kevin Steen video package that was really good. Mike Mondo comes out, and he's holding a Godzilla Fears Mondo sign. This was goofy. But then they have a match. It's Mike Mondo versus Matt Taven, who I guess is a local Baltimore guy. He looks like Pauly Shore, but then again, so does Truth Martini. So I thought that was kind of funny. But this guy definitely looks like him. He has the whole weasel hair Pauly Shore used to have in Encino Man. And they do the same thing there was a spot in the Eddie Edwards Kyle O'Reilly match where they're both so even and using the same offense. They both go for a drop kick, and then they both get up like, what are we gonna do next? And they actually did the same exact spot in this match, which was not good since it happened right after Eddie Edwards and Kyle O'Reilly did it. But they kind of have a decent match for a little bit of time, but then it's interrupted by Kevin Steen. He comes out and he says, I cannot believe you guys are out here getting a match and Ring of Honor is giving you guys time when I have to wait till next week to make my television debut. And he starts to talk about Mike Mondo. He says, I know you. You've wrestled all over the world, but Taven, I don't know who you are, man. I know why you're here, though, because you're cute. You're a cutie pie. The kind of guys that Jim Cornette likes. And he gives him a handshake, or he offers his hand, and he tells Matt Taven to shake his hand. And he doesn't. So Kevin Steen goes, time's up, and he kicks him, and he hits the F5. Since the package pile driver is now banned in Ring of Honor, the F5 is Kevin Steen's new finisher. Well, not just the package pile driver. Any pile driver has been banned in Ring of Honor. So he hits the F5 on Matt Taven. Him and Mike Mondo are kind of acting buddy-buddy, and Mondo goes up, and they're kind of hugging each other, and he puts his arm around him, and then Kevin Steen starts to bite his ear. This was awesome. And then he hits the F5 on Mike Mondo. And then he does kind of a stare down with Steve Corino, and they cut to commercial, but this whole segment was great. Kevin Steen is awesome, and I can't wait till next week to see him in his TV debut. He's one of the best guys they have right now. World's Greatest Tag Team is talking about how they enjoyed hitting Mark Briscoe with a chair last week. Shelton says that he's not paying another $5,000, and if Cornette wants him to pay it, he's going to have to sue him. Charlie Haas says that they're going to get the title belts back, and anyone who likes those loser Briscoes, well, then they're losers too. Jim Cornette says that Shelton Benjamin is going to pay the $5,000 or he's suspended. The Briscoes cut a promo, and they say that they're going to punish the Young Bucks and beat them at the pay-per-view. And they don't know whether to beat up the Young Bucks or buy them flowers. And this was pretty funny. And just a great Briscoe promo. They said they're going to beat the Young Bucks. They're going to beat any tag team in the back. Anyone who wants to challenge them, they'll wrestle them. So, good Briscoe promo. They show the embassy, and they're talking about how Tommaso Ciampa is going to bring the TV title back home to the embassy. They go to the main event, which is the House of Truth with Truth Martini, Michael Elgin, and Roderick Strong versus the Briscoe brothers. And they have a sideline bet that whoever wins the match gets $5,000. So they each put up $5,000. They have these envelopes with the money, and it's sitting at the desk with Jim Cornette, who is doing commentary, because he always comes out for commentary on the main event. So Cornette has the money, and he's sitting there. They have a pretty good match. It was really good. It looked like they were kind of off their game a little bit. Maybe there wasn't some communication, but it looked like a couple things were kind of messed up, but nothing major. It was still a great match. At one point, Jay Briscoe rolls to the outside, and Truth Martini throws this white powder in his eyes. And while he's distracted, Michael Elgin and Roderick Strong are kind of double-teaming Mark Briscoe. Jay Briscoe grabs some water, he dumps it on his eyes, and he heads to the back, and he comes back with a baseball bat. And he hits Michael Elgin and Roderick Strong in the stomach with it. They get disqualified, but before the House of Truth can get their money, Mark Briscoe steals both envelopes, and he's got them, and they have the $5,000 now. So they kind of just rob House of Truth, and they get disqualified. So House of Truth gets the win. They talk about next week. It's going to be Kevin Steen's TV debut, and it's going to be the World's Greatest Tag Team versus the Young Bucks. So that should be a pretty good episode next week. The only thing that was weird was, Jay Briscoe gets disqualified because he uses a baseball bat, but they were both just beating up Mark Briscoe. Like, shouldn't House of Truth been disqualified way before he even got the baseball bat? So I thought that was kind of weird, but other than that, it was a great show. It does kind of feel like every week, I feel like Ring of Honor needs something. Every week, it feels like it's the same guys, just in different matchups. And I mean, they have a lot of great wrestlers and great talent, but I feel like they just need something. Like WWE and TNA, they've got a lot of their good wrestlers from the past. TNA has Samoa Joe, Austin Aries is in TNA. WWE has CM Punk, Daniel Bryan. They just got Tyler Black, who's going to debut soon. They got the Kings of Wrestling, who are going to debut soon on WWE. So they've taken a lot of Ring of Honor's talent, but I think that's hurt the company. They have a lot of great things, though. The Briscoes are great. House of Truth is really good. Kevin Steen's awesome. El Generico. I just don't know if that's enough, because I think maybe a title change and get the belt off Davey Richards might freshen up the company. Or, maybe add a little bit of hardcore stuff. It doesn't have to be all hardcore like old ECW, but just maybe every once in a while. I know Kevin Steen and Steve Corino at Final Battle was a hardcore match, pretty much, and it was great, but I would just like to see something like that with a guy, maybe bring in the Necro Butcher again, and have some more brawls, and so you kind of mix it up. You got the MMA style, really long wrestling matches with Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, and you got those guys, and then maybe just add a brawler or something. I don't know, it's just what I was thinking, but anyways, there's your review for Ring of Honor this week. I hope you guys like it, and subscribe to my videos, and I will be back tomorrow night with a pay-per-view review of TNA's Against All Odds. So check back tomorrow night for that, and thanks for listening. Bye.